Our next presenter, you had a chance to hear from Emily just a bit, so we want to get right into it. Emily leads operations for Selerant, and Selerant is a leading global provider of process-based PLM software. And if you're interested in what that is, you can talk to Emily later. We're all aware of the building movement for equality, for diversity and inclusion. We wanted to dedicate a portion of today to talking about what that is, what that means for you re-entering the workforce. So I'm going to hand it off to Emily. I'm excited to have you here and to bring this topic to our platform.
Great, thank you so much. So why women need male allies, how do we engage them, and what can they do to encourage gender equality and diversity? So this is kind of a big deal. We talk a lot about women supporting each other, and I think that's really important. And if you don't currently have a network of women that you talk to regularly, if you don't currently have a network of women that you're using to read your resume, to help you with job prospects, get one. So use your kids. Use play dates. If you find out that the mother of a kid, one of your kids' friends, is in a career you're interested in, make a play date, ask them to have coffee with you. I mean, this is one great way to start. But after that, how do we continue to move up in the workforce, right? Because we had this statistic earlier, like 16% of women are in leadership positions. Not awesome. What are the benefits of women in the workplace? So anybody here can intuitively state that we add value to the workplace, but is it measurable? And it turns out that it is measurable.
I worked in a male-predominant business, and my boss once said to me, he said, "I love hiring women like you." And I said, "Why's that?" And he said, "Well, first of all, women are much more conscientious. They're much more detail-oriented. They're very, very dependable. And best yet, they're cheaper." And of course, that was, 20 years ago. But
Still true, sadly. Okay, so when we talk about that, we know that it's beneficial, but is it measurable? So 10% of companies that had strong female leadership generated a return on equity of 10% per year versus 7.4 for those without. So there are numbers you can use when people say, well, it doesn't really matter if we have women in the workplace. Yes, actually it does. This 19% gender diverse businesses units in the hospitality companies show 90% higher average quarterly net profit than less diverse units, 14% in retail companies. But bigger than that, companies lacking board diversity tend to suffer more governance-related issues, which leads one to think, what would it look like if our government had equal representation? So this is also really interesting. A 2011 study found that at every management level, more women were rated by their peers, bosses, direct reports, and others as better overall leaders than men. And that the higher the level in the organization, the wider the margin. The study was based on 360-degree evaluations and rated leaders on 16 different competencies. Women outscored men in 15 of the 16 competencies. Again, so why do we need them? I mean, who needs them? Well, we need them because we can't force gender equality in the workplace. If we force it, there will be a backlash. Not going to be great. So why do we need them? When men are allies, they are seen as more legitimate and credible. Other men tend to trust them more. They can influence what other men do. Ally confrontations empower others to challenge not just sexism, but also other discriminatory behavior directed at minority groups. So it's important. We need them. How do we get them? Know them, support them. So I'm going to run through this kind of quickly because you guys some of you aren't back in the workforce yet. So this doesn't necessarily apply yet, but ways to engage men as allies. Define the value proposition. So you need to present it to them with value. Hence, back to those first couple slides, that's the value. Clarify your personal motivations. Obviously, it's clear for you why you want male allies. They're going to help you. But then find out what works for them. You have to select somebody you think will actually be an ally. So if there's a guy you work with, he's got a pretty cool wife, and you see that he talks a lot about being supportive at home, he's probably a good prospect, right? You don't want to select the guy who talks not so nice about ladies at the water cooler. You want to approach this with respect and candor. So you want to actually be honest, like, look, I want you to help me. And make it clear that you're asking them for help. So you want to take care of yourself and your allies. So you want to treat that relationship really carefully in the workplace. Track it in terms of accountability and trust. Are you guys actually able to work together? Are they helping you in the way that you expect them to? And then organize development in the organization. If you can actually work with somebody to help you have a program in your workplace that encourages this, that's kind of the next step. That's the goal, right? So things allies can do, and these are things, you know, as people are starting to enter the workplace, what can you do to help not just yourself but other women? So actually, can you go to the second slide there, the actions at home? So the first thing I think you can do is talk to your partner, if you have a partner at home, or talk to the other men in your life, right? Ask them to be a 50-50 partner. And by that I mean women do most of the emotional work at home. Ask them to engage a little bit more. I'm not talking about chores yet. I'm just talking about taking care of the kids, talking to you about your day. Be a present partner. Close the labor gap. This is directly about chores at home. We know that women do most of the chores at home. Not in my household. I don't drop off the laundry or pick it up. My husband does that. And I don't do the grocery shopping either. Close the labor gap. Make it clear that you're both working. And even if you're home with the kids all the time, that's still work. When your husband comes home, he still needs to help at the house. It doesn't mean that he comes home and expects a clean house. Make them work at home too. It's really important. That labor gap is huge. Ask your male friends, partners, speak up around your friends. If they see men speaking bad about women, behaving badly, ask them to say something. Ask us for our opinions. Validate our feelings, name our accomplishments. When they talk about you, ask them to talk you up. Practice bystander intervention. So this is a tougher one, but one of the examples I can think of this is years ago I was in Philadelphia with my cousin, who's a great ally, and there was a couple fighting on the street, and it was getting really kind of scary. And he stepped in and asked the woman, do you need help? How can I help you? That's what we mean by bystander intervention. So we're not just talking about your day-to-day stuff, we're talking about the really scary stuff that women need help with. Challenge gender stereotypes, be an active father or an active parent, help your daughter lead, teach your sons to support women. So I have 2 boys. I am constantly reinterpreting a book that I'm reading to them because there's some terrible gender stereotype, or stopping a movie to say, listen, when a girl tells you she's not interested, leave her alone. But you have to do this too because it's pervasive, right? Share women's words on social media. That means if a man sees a woman share something on Facebook, he doesn't just share it as his own, reshare it as her post, and talk about feminist issues, right? So this is part of what you want to encourage the men in your life to do at home every day in their lives. So if we go back to the workplace one, so as you're getting back in the workforce, these are things to think about, and you can talk to your male allies. If there's already somebody you work with who you think you can talk to about this, it's kind of the best thing to do. I talk about this to the guys at work all the time. So listen to women. Don't react, just listen to them. Give women credit. So if you're in a meeting and a woman has said something, you want to ask the men, like, give the woman credit. Don't just repeat what she said. Say, as Emily said, this is a great idea, or whatever. Amplify women's voices, similar. Reinforce what they've said. Give women active attention. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a meeting with a man, and the minute I start talking, they're looking at the watch. Pay attention. Like, actually give the same active attention you would give a man. And you want these men to call it out when they see people doing things in meetings that ignores you. It's important. Don't interrupt us. I cannot tell you how many times you're in a meeting and somebody's talking over you. Don't interrupt us. Mentor and sponsor more women. Evaluate our performance fairly. Advocate for fair workplace practices, right? I mean, this all sounds really simple, but it's important to keep reinforcing it. Share the office housework. How many of us are the ones who clean up the pantry and replace the toilet paper in the bathroom? I constantly send around memos. Everybody needs to clean up after lunch. The other day, there was a stinky garbage can, and I had to actually say, I think you can take that out. The other thing, and this is really important, is make work work for parents, and not just moms, for dads too. The more we can support parents in the workplace, the more there's an equal distribution of labor. So I think there may be one more slide, maybe. And so these are sources that I use. So I didn't just make these numbers up, they're real. And if you want the sources, I'm happy to send them to you. Yes?
Can you get a copy of your slides?
If you want a copy of my slide, just send me an email and I will send you. Any other questions? I sort of ran through that, but I hope that it's helpful.
No, thank you, Emily. That was great, because I think these are all things that we have to consider as we're planning reentry.
I mean, yes.
One other thing in terms of why men and women should both be in the workplace, especially in companies where you have outside customers, people buy more from people who understand them.
Yep.
Since women are making the great majority of purchasing decisions in the United States of America, when there are women who are actually selling those things, there is a higher percentage of success rate when there is a woman to a woman sale. So if you're trying to look into the sales space, remember that, especially if there's a sales force that is primarily male. You need to have a balanced sales force, and we as women can go in there and say, hey, you know, I could give you another point of view that's going to connect with a more diverse customer base. And that will probably result in more sales for the company and move our ROI, return on investment, up significantly and quickly.
No, I think that's a very good point. The other thing I wanted to share, I've heard one of the things we noticed today looking at resumes and people talking is that it sounds like a lot of people aren't quite sure what they want to do. So you want to get back in the workforce, but you're not sure what it is that you want to do. So I recently read a really great book called The Great Work of Your Life, which is a book about refining your purpose, and I think it fits in with career reentry. So I would recommend that. It's called The Great Work of Your Life, and it's about your purpose, not just your personal career purpose, but how that might tie into a greater cause.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Emily.
My pleasure.
I'm here with Roopa Unnikrishnan, who just gave a wonderful presentation. She's the author of Career Catapult. You really got to meet some of the women and experience some of their hardships and what their kind of challenges that they're facing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting elements is we sometimes feel alone because the challenge feels like the struggle feels very solitary because it's in your head, it's in your home. Events like this allows you to sort of engage with each other and see that there are commonalities. And part of the reason I wrote the book was purely because of the sense of, you know, how do you create a plan? Otherwise it just feels like, okay, I got to do this, 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 and this, and oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. And as I spoke, I could see people sort of really making their mental list, and some of them came up afterwards and said exactly that. It's like, okay, I feel like I can get a plan together. And that's the story, it's like, get your plan together. So.
Definitely, and two of the messages that you were delivering is that change happens, of course, and know your value, know what you bring to the table.
That's right.
How do you think that your message would translate to the women here today?
I think in many cases, you know, I gave an example of thinking of yourself either as an accountant or as somebody who is an accountant who understands financial systems and could create trading platforms, right? I think laying out that storyline is really the piece that I'm hoping that that we can get to, right? With things like the book, you know, there are resources online. Just be active in telling the story differently, right?
And how does your experience translate in the book and just helping women in general?
Well, I think I start really early in the book. I talk about the fact that as a kid, I really was quite clear in my head I was going to be in part of the government. And then because of things that happened in the family early on, it was clear I couldn't. You know, I kind of was an exile out of India, which is where I was from. thinking that taking that jolt and really making something constructive out of it was part of the way I've engaged. But I also used to play sports a lot, and I used to be, I used to be a champion rifle shooter for the country, and you learn so much from sort of. I used to be a very remedial student, and the day I got my first medal was the day I changed that trajectory at school. I went from being 26th in a class of 30 to the first in one semester, because you learn what good looks like, right? So keep your eye open for what will help you bolster your confidence and your sense of security. Yeah.
And what's a lesson that you learned in your experience as an athlete that you can translate now to Career Catapult?
I think it's the sport of shooting is one where you have your weapon. I mean, I know it's not a very fashionable sport now, but internationally it's a very respected sport, because we're almost like yogis. You're thinking and you're being very mindful. You're meditating, but more importantly, you're doing something with your rifle and the bullet that is affected by wind, light, etc. You need to be very technically astute. So over time, you get to the point where you don't even have to think about shooting. It just happens because you've laid it, you've been thoughtful about the process. And similarly, when you're at work, initially you have to remind yourself, here are the 4 things that good project management looks like. But over time, you get really good at it, right? So letting yourself learn from those experiences like sports, and in my case, certainly being able to see various trends, right? Whether it's the wind, the light, or what's happening in social media, and engaging with it and using it effectively. That's, I think, what I took away from my life.
And why do you think women should come to Vermilion Talent conferences and other events?
Well, it's so if you look around you, part of what I'm seeing is they've brought recruiters to the table, which is fabulous. Recruiters who clearly come with the right mindset. They really put speakers like me, but other speakers, panelists who are going to actually engage with them to have them think differently about their own value. But thirdly, I think real building capabilities. I think they're doing workshops here that'll help you sort of either reframe your resume or actually focus in on certain sort of core capabilities. All important, and because you can't, it's hard to go to to Olympic level speeds from a standing start. And events like this help sort of bridge that transition. Yeah.
I love that. You're kind of at the medium spot. You're not at the beginning, you're at the medium.
You really are, yeah. Especially if you've taken a break but had any kind of experience in the past, don't assume that that's gone away. It's really valuable. So make sure you don't put it in the attic and close the door on it, right?
Well, you're reminding everyone what they bring to the table, and you bring so much to the table. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And tell everyone how to find your book.
Oh yes, you can go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNobles.com and sort of input The Career Catapult. You can also go to my website, thecareercatapult.com, and get links into resources as well as how to buy the book. So, good luck.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Roopa.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here with Susanna and Liz. What were your expectations coming in, and what are your impressions thus far?
So I'm here today to kind of network and learn about what Vermilion has to offer, and it's been great today. I've met some really amazing women, and the networking session and the resume section were excellent.
Wonderful. And how about yourself?
Yeah, I've been a Vermilion member for about a year, and so I have gotten some resume coaching and other coaching, but this has been a great, I've sort of gotten a, what's the word? I've refined my skills a little bit, and I've had some things reinforced that I'd forgotten about. So that's been very helpful. And the resume session was great. She just had some tips that are very easy to make that are going to transform my resume. So I was grateful about that.
Wonderful. Those sound like fantastic experiences. And what do you think you're going to have coming out of the conference?
I think just a renewed sense of purpose and excitement to get back out there.
Yeah, same with me. I think I need to be a little more specific in what my goal is going out there for a job, and so this is going to help me do that.
Super helpful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll be right back. I'm here with Etim Edim, Executive Director at Morgan Stanley, and you have hired some of the women through Vermilion Talent who are re-emerging in the career industry. What do you think about that in terms of finding women through this industry, and also what has your experience been?
Absolutely. I do think it's important when you're looking for talent to ensure that you've vetted all resources, and certainly real return folks that are returning back into the industry have as much talent as those that have been in the industry. They've done a number of things, be it through charities, be it through other organizations, just to keep themselves fresh and attuned to what's going on in the workforce. In my experience, I certainly have felt that the 3 women that I've hired over the years, or that I've worked with over the years, that I've returned to the workforce, have been just as capable. It's taken them a bit of time just to kind of get reacclimated into being back in the workforce, and certainly the demands and the strains that comes with that. But certainly it's been a very positive experience that I've had, and I look forward to hiring more in the future.
What are 3 words that you think would describe your experience with hiring women that are now re-emerging into the workforce?
Certainly. Prepared. They seem to come in quite prepared to work. A couple of other words I could think of. Certainly, I would say diligent. Another word that I found for someone that one of the first people I worked with, she was quite diligent, and I think that came with understanding the demands of the work and knowing that she didn't have as much time, so she had to be a lot more diligent in what she did. Really, I guess the third word I'm just trying to find one of many words that's coming to mind, but I would just say just as smart. There's a lot of very smart and talented people out there. It's been a pleasure to work with them.
So your message would be to not overlook those with experience because they actually bring more to the table than meets the eye.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. That is true.
And what was your first impression of this conference?
So far, so good. It's good to see all the people here working. I know a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to make these things happen. But certainly, it's good to see the output, and it's a fantastic opportunity to network with them as well and see what people are thinking and who's interested in the financial services industry and who we can bring on into our organization.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your work. I appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you.
Wonderful meeting you. We'll be right back. So I just wanted to speak to you really quickly about your impressions so far of the conference.
I thought it was, it's been a great conference, very inspiring. I thought the breakout sessions were very good and learned a lot and still exploring career options.
What's your key takeaway today?
I guess one thing that stood out during one of the breakout sessions was an important ingredient of happiness is purpose. So like knowing your purpose.
That's a good one. And how about yourself? What were your impressions coming in, and what is your key takeaway thus far?
So I came in with not many expectations. I'm just kind of thinking about going back to work, and I've met lots of great women sharing experiences, and also learning about tools on specifically what you need to do. There's a lot of work to put in, lots of preparations, and I need to think about that and think more thoroughly about the tools, the purpose, the networking. So that's what I'll be more focused on going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm here with Elissa and Sonia. What are your impressions thus far of the conference?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, the conversations that I'm having are the kind of conversations that need to be had. So we have both the people who have the need and we have the resources to help the people with the need. It's fantastic.
Wonderful. And yourself as well?
I met a lot of intelligent, helpful people here, and I'm very happy that I came. So I'm learning a lot. And it's beyond what I've expected.
If you could pick 3 words to describe your experience thus far, what would they be?
Motivating, or learning opportunity, and very interesting. You get into very deep conversations with individuals. Like, I just met a woman here.
So I'd like to add supportive and focused. I mean, this is just, we're not all sitting around eating chocolate-covered strawberries. I mean, we're very focused on doing what needs to be done in terms of helping each other, providing resources, and getting people to where they need to be. And there's the support along with the focus, which I think is a great combo.
So it's kind of a one-stop shop. You're becoming you're coming in motivated, and then you're also being extremely efficient and proactive.
That's right. Yeah.
Very mission-oriented. Like, we're on a mission, and I feel like I'm getting things accomplished. So
you would recommend this conference for other women?
Absolutely. I mean, I think anybody that I know, particularly who's doing some type of returnship, even if they've only been out for a short period, I send them to Vermilion Talent. And to work with them in any way, either coming to a conference like this or actually being a former member of their organization.
Wonderful. And yourself, you would recommend Vermilion Talent?
yeah, I'm very new actually. It hasn't even been a whole week yet, and so I think literally So yeah, it hasn't even been a week, and I'm happy with what I've discovered so far. And it was sort of like, I guess this particular career event was sort of the genesis of my liking Vermilion more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to work. We'll be right back.
I think the conference is very useful, a lot of information. I, in particular, found the resume assistance very helpful, and the entire conference has given a lot of information to somebody like myself who's looking to get back into the workforce after raising children.
What I also liked about the conference is that it gets you out of the vacuum that you're in. You see other women that are struggling with similar situations, but they also give you tools how to get out of it and how to connect with other people.
I think simply trying to, apply to jobs. When you apply online, it seems like it goes into a black hole. We were just talking about networking and how to, really use your network and your support system to help you get your resume to the hiring manager.
So what are your experiences so far within the conference and Vermilion Talent?
It's been really great to meet so many women who are looking to re-enter in their careers and give them some good advice on how to do that. One thing we're trying to do is help make sure that women feel more confident in the skills they already have, and try to recognize how to repackage those skills in a way that makes sense.
And are these women bringing things to the table that they may not have been aware of before?
Yes, absolutely. I think that most of the women here have skills that they're not thinking about in terms of a new career. And so trying to encourage them to think about that is one of the things we've been doing.
I think this is a fantastic conference. You can tell the energy in the room are really competent women who are excited to get back into the workplace. And I spoke today about meaning and purpose and the importance of bringing that to any conversation, your pitch, your resume, so people really see you in your most distinguished, authentic way. And for those out there listening, I would encourage you in every way possible to get yourself into the mix of women just like this and engage with Vermilion, engage with companies that give you that buoying effect, being around women who are doing the same and supporting each other to move forward.
Yes, I just think that the energy here is great. There's a lot of really motivated women who are taking the right first, second, third step, I think, to get back to where they want to be professionally. And I think to Emily's points, there's a lot of skills that these women have that they don't even recognize as skills. And I think a lot of it is reframing and recognizing that there is value in many of life's experiences, even if, maybe you don't technically consider them to be professional. So it's good to see the diversity of skills that we're encountering.
So what challenges have you been facing re-entering the workforce, and what do you think that you've addressed here at this conference?
I think I struggle with purpose and purpose with your job situation. So I think that when we talked with the summit people, that was really helpful, trying to align your purpose into a profession. And so I think that was really helpful to me.
And what would you tell other women about coming into Vermilion Talent?
I think it's just great. It's a big networking event. You sit down next to people, you hear their story, and you get connections. And I just think it's a great support system.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Executive Director of Morgan Stanley, and you have hired some women through this organization. What has your experience been so far, and what are your takeaways?
Absolutely. It's been a great experience hiring real returns women going back into the workforce. We've felt that they've been quite resilient, quite resourceful in coming in and getting right up to speed with what we need to accomplish as a group, as a firm. For some, it certainly takes a little bit longer, but once they grab on and catch on, it's been smooth sailing. I'm excited about what we've been able to accomplish, and looking forward to doing more hiring in the future.
And what advice would you give to other employers in hiring women that are re-emerging into the workforce?
Well, when you're looking for talent, certainly you've got to leave no stone unturned, right? And there are a lot of very talented women out there that just happen to have been out of the workforce simply because of family constraints or demands or what have you. But certainly when they're ready to get back in, you must give them a chance. I don't think that you're certainly better off as an organization bringing in that skill set, bringing in that thinking, that diverse talent to your workplace. It's been successful in a number of different places, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to do it.
And what are 3 words that you can use in describing your experience with hiring women in reemerging in the workforce?
Absolutely. First, I would say resourceful, and certainly coming in and understanding what it takes, and that time is a constraint. They're able to really do more in less time, you'll find. I would also say they've been quite resilient, right, and quite proactive as well, because they know that they're looked at potentially in a different way, even though they're not. I think the stigma has subsided, but they're quite resilient when it comes to working. And I've found them, the ones that I've worked with, have been quite brilliant, quite smart, and so that's been a factor for us.
Brilliant and smart and resourceful, and these are great words, and these are women that may have been overlooked, and because of this organization, you're now giving them the chance, and they're just completely excelling.
Yes, I think we do need the type of work that the Vermilion Talent does in coaching these women and getting them prepared, giving them the bit of confidence that might just be a difference maker in not only landing the opportunity, but being successful once they're in the role. So certainly hats off to Vermilion Talent.
Hats off to you. You're a difference maker, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
I'm going to hand it off to Elissa, just to recap, debrief on our learnings from this afternoon.
Well, I'll be quick, and maybe you'll help me. We had an amazing panel from human resources and management executives. Thank you so much. You guys were great. It's so great to have your perspective, because we're doing all this work, and then it's really great to understand how it's being received and have some practical tips from people who are actually working with people like us. So here are some of my takeaways. Don't underestimate the transition. And that includes the time it will take you to get back into the workforce yourself, as well as the impact it will have on your family. So I thought those were great takeaways, things that you need to plan for. There were themes around being confident, being yourself, trusting yourself, being confident. There was a great phrase that was echoed a couple of times, fake it until you make it. That doesn't mean you're a fake. It just means that you're working towards something. And it's okay because you're showing up and you're applying everything you have. So fake it till you make it is really just a shortcut for saying believe in yourself. Other thoughts. Somebody used the expression, give yourself a runway, and I really liked that. So while you're in prep mode, get ready. Practice for going back, both for yourself and for your family. And there was that great idea about going into the city sometimes, but there were a number of examples around how to get yourself ready. Make sure you have the right wardrobe. It's okay to buy some new clothes. Let's see. And I also really appreciated this comment because we talked about strength in knowing what you don't know as well as what you do know. And that the importance here is in showing that you know how to overcome your struggles and being able to demonstrate, well, here's an example of something I did, and this is how I overcame that struggle. So you show what skills you focused on when you were doing that, and I think that's a really great takeaway. I wasn't doing nothing for 9 years while I was raising my kids. I was involved in crisis management, and this is what I learned from that experience. I also appreciated, somebody said you don't need to BS. So nobody wants to feel like they were BS'd. So, and then there was one other comment. You can't do everything yourself. Find your resources. I think that was made by somebody in the audience, and I thought that was a great point. Then we heard from Emily, who was also awesome. I loved that all those great statistics are just motivation for me to want to get out there and help my fellow females in this room to get back out there. So how to engage men in being allies, be clear with them about your motivations. Find the right guys. Find the guys who stand up and videotape the entire conference and make sure that you have a microphone so that you're heard. Find the right guys. Thank you. Practice actions both at work and at home. Ask for respect and show respect. Ask for support and show support. Those were the themes to me. I can tell that I need to wrap up. What am I leaving out, folks? Anybody want to say something?
Thank you.
Well, let's thank Vermilion Talent.
I think you're on, actually.
Yes, thank you, Elissa. Thank you all for being present. And when I say present, physically and mentally, as well as Jennifer explained to us. I know it's a lot for you to take a day out of your busy schedules, but consider it really an investment in yourself. And I hope you see it that way. We have a couple of call to actions, as we like to call it. Number one, share your experience with us. Leave your Post-its on that back wall. Send us an email if you don't have a chance. We want to know what today was like for you, what was helpful, what wasn't helpful. Please do that. Number two is to share your experience with others. Tell a friend. I'm sure every person sitting in this room has a friend who's in the same boat. And couldn't make it here today. So tell a friend that this is happening, that there's this movement out there, that they're not the only ones, and that there are resources available to help them to get to where they need to be. We actually have placed postcards. If someone can hold up a postcard for everybody to see, everyone at one table, awesome. So if you guys can grab a postcard, send it. This is snail mail, but we're going to ask you to send a postcard to a friend who could use a career boost. Share what you learned today, you know, and let's get this started. So please do that. I had a chance a couple of months ago to hear Laila Ali speak, and if anyone knows Laila Ali, she's you know, a champion boxer, a daughter of Muhammad Ali, amazing, inspirational entrepreneur. And something she said really resonates, and I will probably repeat this for the rest of my life, so bear with me, but it's really about climb, pause, lift. So get to where you're going, take a moment, and bring someone along with you. And that's the point of those postcards. So please do that. We want to see more and more women getting to their dreams and the next chapter of their careers. And you know, as Ann Barbara mentioned this morning, today is all about confidence, about taking the time to prepare, to build confidence, and investing in that confidence. Confidence doesn't appear automatically, it just doesn't show up. It's about the steps that you take to make that happen. And also want to echo something else, is that you don't have to be confident every moment of every day. Confidence is about recognizing how you feel and figuring out what you need to do, again, to get to that next step. It means pushing through. And that's what I think each of you have demonstrated by being here today. And that's part of our mission, is to help you to do that. And finally, our final call to action is that we do have a membership table set up in the back. We have a special promotion today, 25% off of your annual membership. So please stop by the table. If you have any questions, Ann Barbara and I are here. And I want to hand it off to my partner, Ann Barbara.
Well, so what we wanted to do is thank everybody who was or is involved. And what I realized is that nobody we gave the presents that we had available here. I know some speakers already left because they needed to leave. Some resume reviewers already left. I totally forgot to give them all the presents that we have ready here. So we have some bottles of wine for the speakers. Emily, can you please, as one of the speakers, the ones who's left, and I need to give you the right one because we put some cards on it. Thank you so much for being here, and some red blend for you to enjoy. And then, so we will make sure that the other speakers get the bottles of wine as well. We gave all the resume reviewers, and I hope they also took it, books, the books that Roopa wrote, and I know a lot of you actually also bought the book, so that's great, I think. I think it's an amazing book and good to have in your bookshelf. And to read, of course, first of all. Then, what else? I think I also forgot to give all the panelists a book, so I think we're very much behind. It's okay. Corporate sponsors, I just want to re-emphasize and tell the names. So New York Life, Regeneron, Selerant, and Wilson Elser, thank you so much for being here and to share your perspective. and showing that you invest in this group. Thank you so much for being here. Our media partners, again, I want to repeat. So Junior League, She Leads. I think Adrian already left. I don't see her anymore. Manhattanville College and Path Forward. Thank you so much for sharing the word and putting the word out. I think all of these partners are also great resources for you to tap into. So that's we really are very happy that they wanted to become media partners. Resume reviewers from the companies New York Life Insurance Company, Selerant, Wilson Elser, Morgan Stanley, PepsiCo, Room to Read, Thomson Reuters, Westchester Community College, and Regeneron. And I hope you all got something out of the resume reviews. I spoke to some of the company representatives, and I heard that they actually were very, very amazed about the value and about the skill set that's out here. So I think you must be proud about yourself, about how you dealt in the resume review today. So. And then I think we forgot to say that in the beginning, but we had some delicious bars, and I think maybe they're still out there for the networking. But from Raw Ref, one of our Anju's friends, right? She set up this company, and she was so nice to share with us some of these bars. So try them out. I can't eat them because there are nuts in there, but so just so you know, there's nuts in there. But I heard they're delicious. So. And then, of course, and I don't know if Natasha is here, but we will definitely send her something. So the Eileen Fisher Leadership Institute, we want to thank them to be able to enabling us to have this event here. I think it's an amazing space, a wonderful space, and I think it really was suited very well, the event that we have here. I think the atmosphere was great, and so thank you for that. And then, of course, our amazing team. So our volunteers who are maybe still out there. Stephanie, I think she's very busy with even cleaning up lunch still. We have
Linda. We have Linda over here.
Linda here. Oh, sorry.
Debbie.
Linda, Debbie.
Kathy.
Amber, I think, already left, right?
Yeah.
Betsy, thank you so much. Thank you for being here and for helping us make this a success. I think that's it. I think we should. I think now there's time to do some networking, just speak to anybody you haven't spoken to.
So the companies all have their tables set up. Please feel free to drop by, grab some coffee, grab some snacks, and thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks.